Hi, I'm John. This is my show, An American Scheme, where I'm proving that Diana Ross is Michael Jackson's actual mother. So the MJ Avengers did a live stream yesterday, and they just clearly showed that they're not capable of understanding who Michael Jackson is, and they don't care. And if you actually talk to them and actually want to talk about Michael Jackson instead of talking about his clothes or his performances, they're not interested. They don't want to know who Michael Jackson is. It's like, well, that's why you guys, all you do is steal from Michael Jackson. So look, I'm going to get into bashing Michael Jackson some on this video and stuff, but I want to make it clear about like the stance I take about Michael Jackson is that, and this is why I think the story is so interesting, is that I think Michael Jackson was born as just as good of a person as you could have been on this planet. He was a good kid. He had all the talent, willing to give it to the world. I love the Michael Jackson as a kid, the actual person. Not only do I love his talent, the actual person he was. I love Michael Jackson. Okay, but once he became a big star, your life changes. And that's all there is to it. Your life changes. And he started to lie. He started to lie so much, and then he had to live his life in that lie that he's misleading the public and he's deceiving them. And I hate that Michael Jackson. Now, the one thing I want to make it clear is that if I was in his situation, I don't think I would have done any better than he did. Okay, that's the thing about now. I'll judge Michael Jackson and I'll say, look at the dude's lying his ass off. He's a drug addict. He's got like problems upon problems. If I want to make a video about just all the problems about Michael Jackson and all his lies, I could make a whole page just about that, right? But the thing is that I understand Michael Jackson. I understand the human he was, the actual life experience of what he had to go through. And so now I'll sit here and judge him and I'll say, no, what he's doing there is evil. And it's wrong, he's lying, he's deceiving the people. I'll say all of that shit. And I'll actually say that his life is actually a failure. Because he did all of that stuff, it doesn't matter about all the accolades, the King of Pop and all the awards and all the achievements of what he did. The reality of Michael Jackson's life is he's a failure. So society took this kid that was just a great person with all the talent in the world. They took that guy and they turned him into they gave him all this fame and fortune and stuff, but the reality of the situation is the person that he became is a total fucking loser. Total scumbag. I think Michael Jackson is a failure story. He's not a success story. Michael Jackson is a failure. He's a failure. I guarantee you that Michael Jackson is not in heaven. He's much more, the man that Michael Jackson was when he died is much more of a demonic human being. He's a demon. They turned this angel into a demon. That's why the story of Michael Jackson really interests me so much, and what I'm doing here and having all this discovery, what actually drives me and where my interest is at. Is that society. It's about society. What happens in society? They turn you from the best kid and you're a perfect angel and everything. I agree, he was an angel. He was great. As a kid, he was great. They turned him into a lying junkie demon who died alone as a junkie, drugged out in a house with his kids in his room, totally neglecting. He was a horrible father. He totally neglected his kids, all of that shit. I got no problem saying that stuff. That's the thing with the Michael Jackson fans. They want to make excuses for all the evil, demonic shit because they want to be evil demons. They're in reality, their souls, they're all demons. They're all demonic, evil, total scumbag losers. They don't want to be good people. They want just to be rich and famous. That's what they want. And it's like, dude, there's no money in the world that's is worth being turned into a demon. It's like you make your choice. Do you want to be a follower of Satan and become a demon like Michael Jackson did? Or do you want to stand up in the world and tell the truth and fight for the real things? And that's how you free people, is by telling them the truth. Get them to expand their minds through the truth, not through the lies and shit, right? So let's go ahead and get into this video a little bit. So the MJ Avengers, they're scumbag losers, all of them.
Being as though we do love Michael and we want to see much of Michael, but we can't all relate to his life because we didn't. Come on, who can relate to being famous like now?
Absolutely nobody.
Who can relate to Michael Jackson's life? Oh, nobody. Very few. So I'm saying it's like These are supposed to be some of the best Michael Jackson supporters, the people that are the best fans who would actually understand. And what they just tell you right there, they can't relate to his life. They don't understand him. And that's why they get mad when I actually come and I explain the songs. They're not mentally capable of dealing with that reality because that's not the reality they live in. They don't want to know who Michael Jackson is. They want to live in this fake image that Hollywood has put out. Oh, Michael Jackson's the king of pop. He's a star. He's the biggest thing ever. Oh, look, all the talent. You get all the riches. You get buy Neverland Ranch. And, oh, he cared about children and all the bullshit. That's all the bullshit. That's the shit they like. They don't want to know the truth. That's why they don't like me, because I'm here telling the truth. And I'll constantly be telling you, each one of these people, here's DancingToal, Eulonzo, Krista MJ, Michael Trapson. Each one of these people is demonic human beings, and the actual nature of their soul is demonic. They're really dumb, they're pathetic, they're not talented, and all they're doing is stealing from Michael Jackson. That's what they do. So let me go on and show you a little bit more. So yesterday, this kid, Moonwalking Kingdom, right? He made this video. And now, like in the Michael Jackson fan community, this song, as far as a song that would exist in that community, I would think it's good. It's as far as that goes, okay? When you want to put it on levels and stuff, okay, so it's like in the Michael Jackson community, as a fan song and a tribute kind of thing, this is kind of good. Now, as far as being an artist, and it's just garbage. It's kiddie junk. It's nothing. It's just total crap and shit. It's really lame. But like, its place where it exists in the Michael Jackson community, I mean, it's a cool little catchy tune. I mean, it's okay. I don't think it's bad. It's kind of fun. It has in its place. It's good in its place where it's at. But now let me show you. So I just want to show you that, like, all those people there in the picture. Okay, they're all fake fans. All of them. None of them are real fans. All of these people are just stealing from Michael Jackson. And what they do, the reason you know that they're fake fans is because they defend the Michael Jackson's lies. All of Michael Jackson's lies, they want to uplift that stuff. And I come in here, I'm like, no, screw that. I want to expose all his lies. And I want to show you that Michael Jackson died a demon. And this person of what he represented, you're basically looking at the devil. Because he's lying his ass off. That's what the devil does. The devil lies to you to mislead you and to confuse you. That's the devil. Okay, so what happens with Michael Jackson is that, because what you're going to see here, he plays as Michael Jackson comes on right after this and does a speech and stuff. And I'm going to show you that he's a total fraud. Michael Jackson, the speech that he given that's the devil. But with mixed in there, you can see the truth of who Michael Jackson is also. So let me get this playing.
Rest in peace, Michael. We love you.
My childhood was completely taken away from me.
Okay, now, the first line, my childhood was completely taken away from me. Now, that's what I say is true about Michael Jackson, is because Michael Jackson was given away from his real parents at the time of birth. As soon as Diana Ross gave birth, she abandoned her child to the Jackson family. So whatever childhood Michael Jackson would have had with his real parents, it never existed. Never existed. Okay, so that's a true statement, and it's a major cause of Michael Jackson's pains. But now, the rest of the stuff of what you're going to see is total garbage. This is the demon coming, because now Michael Jackson is trying to paint an image in your head. This is how, when you get to be like my age and you're sophisticated and you understand how to decipher people's lies and how to judge them on the real situation, it's really easy for me to understand the basic thing is that when they start lying, is that they're trying to put a picture in your head to get you to think of what they want you to think of them, okay? So me, the way I'm able to like break down these lies and see them so clearly is when the people start doing this, I'm able to look and say, well, if you're trying to get me to look this way, then I'm going to look over this way, and I'm going to look over here. And that's how I get to understand who these people really are. And it's just really clear. The first basic thing is I know what a lie is. I can smell it really gets just like it stinks. I could smell this stinking lie. And when they start lying like this, it's like, okay, well, I'm not going to look at what they're saying, and I'm not going to follow the words of what they're saying. I'm going to look inside the soul of the man and say, well, why do you want me looking over here? Well, it's like, well, what's over here then? What's over here that you don't want me to see, that you don't want me to think about? That's how you do it, okay? So now let's listen to what Michael has to say here.
There was no Christmas. There was no birthdays. It was not...
Okay, so right there, the first thing, there's no Christmas, no birthdays, okay? So now he's justifying that that's the thing about what constitutes him not having a childhood. No Christmas, no birthdays, okay? Like, I can tell you, like, one thing, okay? When I remember being 10 years old, and we were doing a Christmas parade at school, and, so I had Christmases and birthdays and stuff like that, right? But I remember being 10 years old, and I want to point out as being 10 years old because that's like basically when Michael becomes a big star. So when I was 10 years old, we're doing this Christmas parade at school, and another guy comes up to me and he says about this other girl, he says, hey, she still believes in Santa Claus, And I remember just laughing how funny it was. We were like, and I like, you believe in Santa Claus? She's like, yeah, of course, like, of course I believe it, It's funny. But it's like, okay, I remember, because I remember it was a 5th grade. I remember it clearly. I know exactly how old I was. I was in 5th grade. And I remember that the girl still believed in Santa Claus and how me and this other guy were totally mocking her, okay? So what I'm pointing out here is that by the time I was 10 years old, we were mocking you. If you believed in Santa Claus, we're mocking you at that time, okay? So it would be very rare in the world for somebody by the time you're 10 years old to still be having like the fantasies of Santa Claus and think that Christmas actually is like, Christmas is just presents. It's not like the thing like when you're 5 years old and you're watching the Christmas movies on TVs and you're waiting for Santa Claus. Okay, when you're 5 years old, okay, but that's 5 years old. That's just a kid thing. That doesn't constitute the defining of what your childhood. Your childhood's not defined by getting some Christmas presents. That doesn't define what your childhood actually is. And Michael's childhood, he got to spend his childhood. He was busy. He got to. Michael loved nothing more than to be singing and dancing. So what was he doing in his childhood? He was singing and dancing with all of his brothers and his family. So if Michael Jackson then goes to Motown, the achievement and the accomplishment of getting to Motown and becoming a star, and then you see then they all go live in fame and they have fortunes and stuff, didn't destroy all of the other kids. I don't see any of the other kids complaining, saying, oh man, we became big stars, but I'm so damaged because of my childhood. I don't see any of them saying that. So Michael's different. Right there off of the bat, there's something different. And Michael's got a different experience of that childhood. Now what happens is, think about Michael Jackson doing all that stuff and thinking that, boy, I'm working really hard. I'm getting good at singing and dancing. Boy, I'm getting so good that we went to Motown, right? And then when he gets to Motown, then they go to move to Los Angeles. As soon as they move to Los Angeles, they move into Diana Ross's house, and Diana Ross tells Michael Jackson the truth. She says, I'm the one, but the kid's not my son. Diana Ross tells Michael Jackson that he's the love child of her and Smokey Robinson. He's the reason all of these other events have occurred. Like, if Diana Ross didn't give Michael Jackson away to the Jackson family, then there is no Jackson 5. So she says, I'm the one, but the kid is not my son. Diana Ross she embraces Michael Jackson. She says, you're the one, and then she rejects him again. So this is what caused all of Michael Jackson's mental problems and the actual pain of what he had to deal with. And this is what leads him up to saying he's got no childhood, is that Diana Ross, at the moment, she embraces him and informs him she's his mother and tells him the truth, but she says, I'm the one, but the kid's not my son. But then she rejects Michael and says, okay, but you're a Jackson now. You're officially a Jackson. You're not my son now. You're a Jackson. You got to stay with the Jacksons. You're going to live your life as a Jackson. You're actually their child now. I'm going to be your mother, your like second mother. I'm going to be around and stuff. But in reality, you're a Jackson. You're living with them. She says, I'm the one, but the kid's not my son. She embraces Michael and she rejects him. That's what the song Billie Jean is about. This is what art, the understanding of art, and like all these other people, nobody understands Michael Jackson. Oh, well, I'm understanding him real clear. And I'm explaining it in in-depth detail about who he actually is and what's going on. And this childhood stuff, he's painting a picture in your head. This is the thing about innocence. He's trying to create to you an image of innocence and stuff. But all of this stuff, it's just a charade because he does not want you looking. It's a smokescreen. He doesn't want you looking at the real thing. He doesn't want the people. He's left it behind, but he can't deal with the reality. He can't tell the truth, and he doesn't want people asking him questions, real questions, like, hey, are you a Jackson? Or is Diana Ross your mother? Like, the reality of having to deal with that situation is much too overwhelming for him at this point. He can't deal with it. He's a Jackson. I mean, he's lived his life as a Jackson the whole time. People think he's a Jackson. The Jackson's an American dream. He's got to live up to that image for all of America. Oh, well, this is what you can do. It's the rags to riches story. It's the Jacksons. He's got to uphold that image for all of them, for not just for the Jackson family and for Diana Ross and Smokey Robinson and Motown. Not only he's got to protect the image for all of those people, he's got to protect that image for all of the public who thinks that you can go from Gary, Indiana, be a poor family, and you can go all the way to the top. But in the truth of the situation, the whole reality of the story is a lie. And Michael's had to live this lie this whole time, and he's gotten to this point where he's like all messed up. He's totally a junkie. He's been a junkie for a long time. He's living as a junkie. He lives his life out through a junkie. So this childhood stuff, when he's saying, oh, my childhood wasn't normal, and he blames it on stuff like, oh, I didn't have Christmases or birthdays and stuff, right? But so, actually, that's all I need to show you from this. You guys know enough about what he's going to say here and stuff, right? So now let's get into the next thing. Now, if Michael Jackson, who just told you right here, he's saying, I didn't have a childhood, right? Actually, I'm going to play a little bit more because I want you to hear how he talks about kids and stuff, right? I'm going to play a little bit more because we're going to show some more here.
Normal childhood, no normal pleasures of childhood. Those were exchanged for hard work, struggle, and pain, and eventual material and professional success. But as an awful price, I cannot recreate that part of my life. Nor would I...
He said, I can't recreate that part of my life. Yeah, you can. You can get married, you can have children, and then you can give them all the things that you didn't have, and then that's what would bring the joy to you. That's what you can do. Yeah, you can recreate that. That's what people do. If you want to enjoy Christmas and you want to enjoy birthdays, well then get married, have some children of your own, and give them every opportunity and a thing that you thought you missed out on, give it to them. But that's not what he does.
I change any part of my life. However, today, when I create my music, I feel like an instrument of nature. I wonder what delight nature must feel when we open our hearts and express our God-given talents. The sound of approval rolls across the universe, and the whole world abounds in magic.
See, now this is like, see how he's talking about, oh, the universe, and he thinks he's doing it for like, oh, he's being godly, and he's given this godly gift to the whole world, and it's like, Michael, we don't need your gift if it's going to come along with this big package of lies that you bundle it with. We don't need it. It takes away. We don't need your gift when it's packaged with a big bundle of lies, because then all we're going to see, the reality is that there is the reality that Michael Jackson's labeled as wacko jacko, that Michael Jackson's widely considered as a pedophile throughout the world. So we don't need the combination of those. What we need is the truth. It's the only thing that matters, and you're giving us magic. You're giving us a magic trick, okay? Your magic trick is bundled up with a whole bunch of lies.
Wonder fills our hearts for what we have glimpsed for an instant, the playfulness of life. And that's why I love children and learn so much from being around them. I realize that many of our world's problems today, from the inner city crime to large-scale wars and terrorism and our overcrowded prisons, are a result of the fact that children have had their childhood stolen from them.
Okay, so he's telling you that the thing that he looks upon the wrongfulness of the world and all of society, all the ills of society, right? He's talking about that it's the damage that happens to these children during their childhood, okay? Now, if that was true, he just told you, like he laid it out, right? So if this guy is true in his heart of what he's actually talking about, there's Michael Jackson. Okay, so now he's got children now. These are his children. He owns them. He bought children. He paid Debbie Rowe to produce children for him, not even using his own sperm. He bought children. Okay, see, this is the difference, is that when if you're a father and you create children, okay, then you're going to have the love for those children, and when you see those children, you're going to get so much love from them. It's going to bring so much joy to you. But the reality of the situation is Michael Jackson knows that he was abandoned as a child. He had to live a lie his whole life. He gets up to the point where everybody's calling him a pedophile, so then he gets into the first marriage with Lisa Marie, and she's got a couple kids, so he's thinking, okay, well, I'll fake it. I'll fake being a parent, and I'll try and see how it is with her kids and stuff, right? But then that doesn't work, and right after that, there's like no big gap. It's basically right after that, he gets into this relationship with Debbie Rowe, and what he does is he says, well, I'm going to make my own kids. He's trying to fight. He's like, I know, I got a solution. I'll pay off Debbie Rowe, and I'll pay for some kids, and I'll own those kids, because that's how Michael's gotten to be at this time in his life. It's all about owning shit. It's about, well, I own it, I buy it. That's what he does. He doesn't understand about how he's never had a real relationship with a woman, so he doesn't know how to have any actual real relationship with the woman and how that's going to affect. He doesn't know anything like that. His life is a total fraud at this time. It's a total sham, because instead of him just finding a woman that he's like, okay, well, I kind of like you, and it's like, well, let's go ahead and have some kids and stuff, right? And then even if he didn't have a loving relationship with the woman, he would have produced children that were his children with that woman, and those kids would have fulfilled all those needs. He would have been able to relive all of his childhood through those kids, but that's not what happens. And what happens is he buys children. And so what happens now is when he sees those kids, this is what happens in the psyche, in the mind frame of Michael Jackson. When he sees those kids, he can't get the joy out of them, because all he sees when he sees them is the lies. He knows that his life is a fraud, because when he sees the kids, he doesn't see loving children that he produced. He doesn't see that. He doesn't see any of the reality of like what a normal family life would be. He knows he paid for these kids. And so when he sees the kids, he sees the scams and the frauds. I'm telling you, Michael Jackson did not get joy from those kids. And Michael Jackson, he was talking about like the damaging of children and stuff. Okay, well, the thing, when your children grow up and they have to look back on these photo shoots that you did, and they're like, look there's my dad, the junkie. Okay, that's not loving Michael Jackson. There's no way Michael Jackson, being a loving father, like he's not showing any love here. There's no love towards any of those people. He's lost in space. He's a junkie. He woke up that morning, got high on drugs, and it's like, damn, I gotta go, I gotta make time, I gotta go do this damn photo shoot with Debbie and the children. He's not thinking, okay, cool, today's the day we're gonna go take photos with my children, and I'm gonna be so proud, I love my kids, I wanna make, that's not what, you can clearly see it right here. He's not, this photo is not a loving father who's understanding that this photo is gonna exist forever, and he wants this photo to represent the love and the caringness of a father and his children. No, he got up that morning and said, damn, I gotta go do that photo shoot with Debbie and the children today. Oh, and let me get high, let me do some drugs, and then to cover up the drugs, he put sunglasses on, because there's no way in hell Michael Jackson, as a loving father who's doing a freaking national photo shoot with his family, would put sunglasses on in that photo. Look, he's disconnected. He's not even there. He's totally disconnected from them. And the sunglasses, it's just like, okay, so Michael decided to take a photo shoot, but he said, oh, let me put my glasses on because I'm the king of pop. I gotta make that image of the king of pop image. It's disgusting. And it just shows the reality that Michael does not care. And so if Michael Jackson cared about all children so much, he should have cared about these kids more than any kids ever. He should have shown them the most respect, and he should have made sure that he didn't do anything to damage these kids. But right there, he sure as hell is damaging them. Okay, so here's Michael Jackson. He was saying, oh, my childhood, I didn't have Christmases or birthday parties, right? So here's Michael Jackson with one of his children inside the house, while the kid's eating birthday cake, but here's Michael Jackson with his sunglasses on. Because he's high. He's high. He's a drug addict. He's a junkie. Anybody who's been around real junkies who knows and stuff understands is that Michael Jackson didn't get up that morning and say, all right, we're going to celebrate Prince's birthday party today. We're going to have cake. It's going to be so great. And, you know, he was talking about not having the joys of the childhood. Well, right here you can tell that he does not have any joys of being a father. And he doesn't respect this birthday stuff. He's doing it just for the fake image. And he's got to get up and use drugs just to get him through the day to deal with this situation, because the reality of the situation is it did not bring joy to Michael that he thought maybe it would. It didn't. As soon as he got the kids, he realized, oh, this is a lie, and he had to feel pain from this. This made him, instead of feeling closeness and feeling connected to the birthday and his children, this made him feel more disconnected. It gave him more pain. It caused pain in Michael by having these kids, because it just emphasizes the lie now. Now the lie's in your house. You couldn't get away from them by moving away and having the privacy. Now the lie's in your home. And now you can't get away from it. And he's trying to figure out how to deal with it. He doesn't know how to deal with it. And so what does he do? He becomes isolated and becomes a severe, like, see the pole right there? That's an IV pole. So he literally moves a doctor in with him. The Dr. Murray's living with him at the time of his death. So and Michael's kids are all living in this house. When Michael dies, the kids are in the house. Okay? So Michael didn't care. Michael's, every night when Michael goes home, he's not spending time with his children. He's laying in bed being totally knocked out and drugged up by Dr. Murray. So where's the love to the kids? There's no love to the kids. And then when you look at the photographs, it's not his kids. Michael does have this thing about kids. And it's because there's an innocence there that it takes him away, and it lets him not think about the realities of the world, because there's a purity that it's about the kids being innocent. And there's a thing there that innocentness of these children allowed Michael Jackson to have a separation from the reality of the harsh life of what he lived. This is like a thing, it's like he goes back, it's like he can't go back and relive Christmas and birthdays, right? But what he can do by looking at these children, he's trying to go back and remember as a kid, and he's like, how did you guys just give me away? And he's trying to deal with the reality that he was given away as a baby, and he had to be used by Joe as the way he was to become the big pop star and stuff. Right? So he's dealing with the realities, but there's a thing about seeing the children like that. It's because the kids don't know. They don't understand what's going on. So Michael can understand that back when he was a child, when he thought he was a Jackson, there was an innocenceness there that did exist in his childhood, and a purity about being a kid and being naive and stuff, right? And Michael can go back to that, and it helps clear his minds of all the world. He's like, that's where he goes to. That's the place, and he draws from the inspiration for that is these children. It's clearly that these is like, he freaking has this problem with children and shit, right? But right next to the children, because the children don't work because he is living in the real world, there's the IV drug pole, like you can see in the mirror. You can, if you know, okay, you see in the mirror, when you look in the mirror, you can see there's the bag. And what that bag does is it gives a slow drip. It drips the drugs into your system slowly. Okay, so this is how Michael Jackson died. There was a large injection of the propofol into the bag. Dr. Murray says he left the room and Michael injected it into the bag, injected a large dose into there. So Michael got a large dose, and that's what killed him. Either way, Dr. Murray's guilty of like negligence. He's not allowed to do this. He was not allowed to do this stuff. He's guilty of negligence. But is it like actually like a murder, or did Michael Jackson commit suicide? And it's like, well, when you understand the realities and the pain of the whole situation, that Michael's all drugged out, and he's like, he couldn't deal with the pain anymore. He's got to go home. He's got to live. He's got to be around these kids that aren't his and shit. He's not getting any pleasure, no joy from that. Now he's got to go on tour and lie to the public more and perform all this stuff. He's already made his music. He's already done it. And so it's like, there is definitely a reality of the situation that Michael Jackson is definitely in a mental state here of where he could have committed suicide. Definitely. There's no doubt about that. So then let's look at the real thing. Like when Michael Jackson... Okay, so now in the Martin Bashir interview with Michael Jackson, Michael Jackson has all of his children at this time. All of his children have been born, right? But instead of hanging around his children and getting the joy and the pleasure from being with his children and having the Christmases and the birthday parties, he's not able to enjoy that. He has to use drugs to do all of that stuff. He's got to do drugs to get ready to do the This Is It tour. He's got to do drugs. He's totally disconnected. But the one thing of where he gets joy from is children that are still naive and innocent enough where Michael Jackson can remember what it was like before he knew the truth. Before he knew the truth, and that's why he spends all this time with these children. And now I'm going to point out something to you here. Let me show you.
Sleep on the bed. We're like, no. Yeah, no, you sleep on the bed. And then he finally said, okay, if you love me, you sleep on the bed. I was like, oh, man. And so I finally slept on the bed. But it was fun that night.
I slept on the floor. I wasn't sleeping bag?
No, he packed the whole vest of blankets on the floor.
What? But Michael, you're a 44-year-old man now. What do you get out of this? What do you get out of this?
He's 4.
Yeah, I'm 4. I love... I think what they get from me, I get from them.
That's the line right there. I think what they get from me, I get from them. See, he gets something from them. He's not giving out of the joy of his heart. He's actually getting something from them. What do the children get from Michael? They get to be like in awe and in the presence of this greatness, and they get to feel the excitement of like the whole world's in front of them, like the opportunities, and it's like you can do anything in the world. It's like, here I was dying of cancer, next thing you know I'm hanging out with Michael Jackson. Okay, it's that awe of the not knowing what the future holds. It's all of that stuff, right? That's what Michael gets from the kids. When Michael gets to be around those kids, he gets to experience that thing about that awe that he can remember about being a child before he was told that he was not a Jackson. The whole thing is when Diana Ross tells him that she's his real mother, then Michael now had to look back on his childhood, and he looked at it, he lost it. He lost it. So not only was Michael given away as a child, when Diana tells him the truth, then she stole away all of the childhood of what he did know. So he doesn't have any experience. He can't draw on that experience and say, I was doing that with my family. And it's like, yeah, Joe was hard on us, but he knew better. Because that's what happens when you become an adult. You understand that, hey, the world's hard. And Joe Jackson, you look at, here's a guy working at the steel mill. He's got this little house with all of these kids, right? And he's wanting to make sure that his kids have the best life possible. And so if you got to take a little beating or work a little hard, it's justified. When you get older and you see of where the family went and stuff, you would look at Joe and say, oh, okay, I understand now, Joe. You would say, I understand, Dad. You'd be like, I understand, Dad, that you had a bigger goal and you had so much to deal with and it was so hard. And you would forget, because the pain is like, once the pain's gone, that like a whoop, if you get smacked and shit, right? Once the pain of that is gone, it's gone. But it's the psychological problems, the psychological damage that lives in you forever. And what happened, so when Michael Jackson was told by Diana Ross, then Michael Jackson had to live with the reality that it was given away as a child. And then he had all of the childhood of what he thought he had lived with his family, that was stolen away from him. So he didn't have to draw on any of those memories of being an innocent child. He had none of that anymore. And so when he's growing up, when he's hanging around these kids, he gets to have the feeling of remembering what it was like before Diana Ross told him the truth and ruined everything. And so when he's saying, I get from them what they get from me, it's that awe, that seeing of the whole world's in front of you and you could do anything. And when Michael Jackson's saying he gets something from them, this is why he's not hanging around with his own kids, because he doesn't get that from his kids. When he sees his own kids, he sees all the lies and all the bullshit and all the stuff. He didn't get that pleasure from his kids. That's why he's not sleeping in the rooms with his kids. He's still even at the time of where he's got his own children, he's still reverting back to this situation because it's just like a drug. If you're a drug addict, you're a drug addict. You need the drug to make you feel better. So this is the drug, one of Michael's main drugs of what he used. He was in the presence of these children, and it allowed him to release from all the pressures of the lies of what his life has turned into. It's an actual thing that he's getting something from them. And that's why he's hanging out with these kids. It's not because he's... And so, Michael Jackson, like, the people say, Michael was such a humanitarian. No, he wasn't. He's a businessman. That's a part of the business. When you make a lot of money, the government says you can start a charity foundation and you can donate a percentage of your earnings. You can donate that to the charity and we won't tax it. And so that money, you earn that money and you give it to the charity. And then the government doesn't tax that money. Okay, and Michael Jackson had so much money that money for for his charity becomes a large thing. Then other people can donate to the charity. And it earns money. It employs people. It does business. A non-profit charity organization, there's a lot of profit. There's a lot of people making money in those organizations. They do work. They actually do work, and they're not all there working for free. They get paid. They're employees. It's a business. Michael Jackson ran a business. That's not him being like so charitable to the world. That's just another business, and he got benefits from it, because it allowed him to deceive the population and making himself look like a humanitarian, which that's like the lie, like he was saying in that speech. That's the lie of what Michael Jackson was trying to put out to the public to try and get them all away from understanding the truth and all the bullshit of what he's got. He's like, this is the image I want to put out. So Michael Jackson does the charity, and when you got a charity, you have to spend that money. Okay, so he's not helping the kids because he wants to help the kids. He's helping the kids because he's got a charity that he's got to spend money. And he's decided then at that point, well, if I'm going to spend money, I'll spend it this way. He gets to choose where he wants to put those the money towards who he wants to help. He gets to choose from that. But he's not doing it because out of the goodness of his heart. He's doing it because that's the business that's set up in the world that we live in and stuff, right? That's what's actually going on. And you can see that that's what's actually going on in this situation, because when Michael Jackson's got his own kids, he's not getting the joy that he wants from his own kids. Like, look at what he does at the kids' birthday parties. He's all drugged out. He dies with the kids in his house while he's all drugged out. But this is what he wants. He needs to be around these kids because it's the thing about the innocenceness of the kids. That's where he gets that's what helps Michael. That's what helps ease his pain. That's what's actually going on here. And just like I said, with all the MJ Avenger people, they're all fake. They're all fraud. They just told you, oh, none of us understand Michael. None of us understand his life. Oh, I think I just gave a pretty damn good explanation from Michael Jackson's birth to his death and an understanding of his life, and up to the point where I'm even actually able to explain his songs. But these people who claim to be Michael Jackson fans, they can't even put forth a little bit of effort into watching some of my videos to then see, what am I actually talking about? Am I here just spitting gibberish and making up freaking crazy conspiracy theories? Or am I actually talking about real facts and evidence and dealing with the reality of the world situation? And that's what I do. And I'm the only person here. The only thing that could ever help Michael Jackson is for the truth to be exposed, because that's what destroyed him, is the lies in which he had to live for his entire life. So anybody out here that ever says they're helping Michael Jackson, I say, fuck you. You're a liar. You're a fake. You're a fraud. And not only that, you're a bad person. Each one of you is a demonic human being. You're all demons and you're all fucking scumbag losers. Each one of you. All of you. Every single person in the Michael Jackson fan community that I ever met is freaking a total fucking loser. And that's why they don't like me, because I'm the fucking real person. And they don't want to do anything to change their lives. They don't want to do anything to help society. And they damn sure don't want to do anything to help Michael Jackson.